Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lived Experiences. I'm Dr. Tamia Ryan, and today we're diving into something that we all face but rarely talk about openly, and that's how to transform your relationship with failure and use it as a powerful part of your story. You may have had these moments or experiences where you worked on a project, you put your heart and soul into it, and it just didn't work out. And before you know it, you're having these negative thoughts that start to creep in saying, see, this always happens. Why did I even try? And once you get into that habit, every time you have a setback, you can start telling yourself that it wasn't worth it. Why even try? So, I want to give you some insight that can hopefully help you reframe your experiences with failure and help you learn how you can actually incorporate it into your story. What's fascinating about failure is that it doesn't actually exist until we name it that. Okay, so what we call failure is really just information, sometimes lack of information, feedback, and redirection. We give failure such a heavy meaning that it weighs down our story. It could actually prevent us from moving forward. When we have these setbacks, we view it as evidence. And that evidence points to us not being cut out for whatever we were putting our energy into, right? Now, what if I told you that failure isn't usually what stops you? It's actually the story that you create is what limits you. So you might think, I failed because I'm a failure. This didn't work because nothing ever works for me. I made a mistake because I always mess things up. You see that pattern. And we've talked about patterns a few times, right? So the more that we engage in patterns, whether they're negative or whether they're positive, they can really start to create and influence our identity. So I have an exercise that I really want you to tap into today. And if you need to pause it and come back and start it when you have some time, that's fine. So the magic really happens when you separate the experience from the meaning and when you get to decide what your challenges mean about you and your future. So we're going to do something called the failure flip. All right. I want you to think about a recent situation that you identify as a failure. Okay. And it can be something that happened yesterday. It could be something that happened a month ago, a year ago, however you want to define recent. Okay. I want you to think about three things that this experience taught you. Okay. So, three things that you've learned from that experience that you relate as being a failure. And I want you to ask yourself, how might this be serving your growth? Okay. When you reflect on that experience, how might that chapter actually be a pinnacle point in your success story? Here's what changes everything about how we view failure. Failure is not the opposite of success, right? So again, we're conditioned to look at things as pass, fail, good, bad, right? But listen to what I said again. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's actually a part of success. So I believe, as in most things, they're on a continuum. We try to classify life being black, white, this way, that way. But a lot of our livelihood, a lot of our experiences are on a continuum. So it's actually a part of your success. When you hear that no, when it doesn't work, on the continuum, you're still getting closer to your yes. Okay. Now, what usually happens is we have, as I mentioned, this black or white, all or nothing thinking. We start personalizing our outcomes. We start future forecasting. So we automatically are thinking, in the future, this isn't going to work out. It's not going to go the way that we want to. And these are components that can limit us and keep us bogged down in that feeling that we are failures. So every situation, even looking at an outcome that maybe we view it as being negative, it has to start somewhere. So every expert at one point was a beginner. The failures that you feel that you are experiencing, they aren't the ending of your story. They're actually creating and developing your character. They're developing your resiliency. They're developing your identity of who you are. What I would love for you to do is share in the comments one experience that you felt was a failure that you're ready to reframe. How might this experience actually be serving your growth? So, how are you building as a person? How are you growing as a person as a result of this experience? Remember that your failures or your perceived failures, they don't define you, they refine you. They're not punishments, they're preparation for you becoming the person in your story, the character in your story that you want to be. Don't forget to subscribe to catch every revelation as it drops. Until then, remember failure is an event, it's not a person, and every event in your story is shaping you for what's next. See you soon.